Hey, how's it going? In a lot of ways, the history of America is a history of bloodshed. From the moment the Pilgrims set foot on a new continent, they were at war with the Native Americans, with Britain again, with Mexico, with Germany, with Japan, with communism, with drugs, with terrorism. We are perpetually at war. And perhaps there was never a time when the spirit of American bloodlust was greater than the Civil War. A time when we became so frowny-faced we tried to split ourselves in two like some kind of an amoeba, before we collectively remembered that we aren't an amoeba. We're a country. And also, we don't know what an amoeba is. And although the Civil War eventually ended, the frowny face that caused it still persisted, causing still further conflict, most memorably acute in the case of two families living along the border of Kentucky and West Virginia, the Hatfields and McCoys. The feud between the families that would go on to claim over a dozen lives began over nothing less trivial than a dispute over a pig. In 1878, Randolph McCoy accused Floyd Hatfield of stealing a pig, citing a notch on the pig's ear as evidence that it was his. The dispute was eventually taken to court where Bill Staton, a relative of the Hatfields, testified in favor of Floyd Hatfield, who eventually won the case. Out of anger for helping the Hatfields, two brothers, Sam and Paris McCoy, murdered Bill Staton as he was walking home, and both were acquitted on the grounds of self-defense. From there, as you can imagine, things escalated quickly. Ellison Hatfield got in a fight on election day with three McCoys. As the fight went on, Ellison Hatfield was stabbed 26 times before being fatally shot. Et tu, McCoy? The three McCoys were arrested on the scene and taken by constables. However, Devilance Hatfield, who was Ellison's older brother— you know what? Don't try and keep track of the family trees, it can't be done. Anyway, Devilance and several other Hatfields intercepted the constables and took the McCoys with them. The three McCoys were later executed by firing squad while tied to trees. Yeah, there really is not a side to root for in this. We'll fast forward here because it's a long and convoluted story, but basically over the next 4 years, two state governors and the Supreme Court got involved. There was a brief Romeo and Juliet style romance, houses were burned, towns were divided, and over 12 people wound up dead. All over a pig. And that's not even close to the only story where violence springs out of nothing. In 1883, for example, two families of herders, the Tewksburys and the Grahams, began feuding over water rights and the exact boundaries between their properties. The argument became violent, and over the next 9 years, 34 people were killed, resulting in the complete annihilation of both families. That is, of course, except for one man, Edwin Tewksbury, who stood alone as the sad little king of his sad little hill. That's a Firefly reference, seemed appropriate. History is littered with senseless feuds, with notable examples as far back as the Byzantine Empire, when bloody conflicts would arise between supporters of different sports teams. One thing is clear: as time goes on, hatred and violence inevitably become meaningless. It's easy to forget what you're fighting for. I'll see you next time.